Hey everybody, it's Randy Ray here at Driftwood Ranch, and I'm the host here at Literate Texan. I am doing a video that I meant to do months ago. I did a call for questions and answers to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers. And if you look at my channel now, I'm up to 1,500 and something subscribers. So that's how long ago that was. But as most of you are aware, I was in and out of the hospital quite a bit over the last few months. So I'm going to make it up to you now by answering 51 of your bookish questions. And there's going to be an off-screen person representing the audience here. His name is Hunter, and he'll be reading the questions aloud, and I will answer them afterwards. So without any further ado, here are my 51 answers to your 51 bookish questions.
This first one is from Aaron Facer. How do you take your coffee?
Hey Aaron, I take my coffee black, but I don't drink a lot of coffee these days because it upsets my stomach.
Have you ever dog-eared a book?
I'm afraid that I have dog-eared a book. I'm not proud of it. But for lack of a better bookmark, yes, I've dog-eared books in the past. I try not to dog-ear other people's books, though. But it's okay if it's mine. Well, it's not okay, but it is okay. It's better than dog-earing someone else's book, that's for sure.
Was there a specific book that kindled your love of reading?
Yes, there were multiple books that kindled my love of reading. One of which was the Sherlock Holmes books, of which there are 9. There's 4 novels and 5 short story collections, at least in the canonical works. But also The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien really did a lot to kindle my love of reading too.
All right. The next 2 are from Grix. Which are your favorite stand-up comedians?
Oh, golly. Well, favorite stand-up comedians, the first voice that pops into my head is Dave Chappelle. But I'm also a big fan of Louis C.K. And then there's John Maloney. Yeah, he's hilarious. And if I got his name wrong, I'm sorry, but I think y'all probably know who I'm talking about. Oh, and George Carlin. Listened to George Carlin albums on vinyl when I was in grade school. Funny stuff.
All right. Is there any comedy special you would recommend?
Any comedy special I would recommend. Any of the John Maloney ones on Mulroney, maybe? Any of the John Mulroney comedy specials on Netflix are really, really funny. There's one in particular where he recaps the plot of The Fugitive in like 90 seconds, and that's probably my favorite one. Call out the numbers on these as we go.
All right.
Please.
So the 6th question is from Scott Pearson, 5644. Let's see. Name 3 of your favorite science fiction novels from the 1970s that are unknown by most readers.
Wow. That's pretty... Okay, so that's pretty specific. 1970s novels that are unknown to most readers that are favorites of mine. The Cold Cash War by Robert Asprin is the first one that pops into my head. Robert Asprin was great. But, I mean, he was published. I mean, he's not completely unknown. And then I think these may have slipped into the 80s, but there was a Piers Anthony collection called Incarnations of Immortality. And another one, there was another series of books that he did called like Split Infinitive, where half the book took place in a fantasy setting and half the book took place in an action setting. Yeah, I like Piers Anthony. I know a lot of people don't. I like some of his stuff better than the rest. And then in terms of 70s science fiction that a lot of people haven't heard of, I don't know, anything by Whitley Strieber from that period is probably worth watching or listening to.
Alrighty.
So that's 3, sort of.
The 7th question is, are you one of Santa's helpers?
I think the particular person said that I look the part too. As a matter of fact, I was a department store Santa Claus. It was one of my many former careers. Interestingly enough, though, now that I'm Santa-sized now, but previously, when I played at the department store Santa, I was still only 250 pounds, so I was the 3-pillow Santa back then. But I don't need any assistant in that room anymore. Just call out the number, like number 8, number 9.
All right.
Because YouTube wants to understand this.
Number 8. What is your favorite Upstart Crow episode?
The pilot. But they're all so great. Upstart Crow is such a funny show, man. It's terrific.
Number 9. Is there a book where you don't like the main character, but you like a smaller part?
Is there a book where I don't like the main character, but I like a smaller part? I have a real hard time with books where the main character is not likable in some way. I think Frodo Baggins is a little bit boring as a character, but I think Samwise Gamgee, and this is not an opinion that is original to me. This isn't some kind of hot take, but I think Samwise Gamgee is a lot more interesting a character than Frodo Baggins.
Number 10. Do you have a favorite Shakespeare play, scene, or quote?
Yes, absolutely. Last year for Shakespeare in September, I read a monologue from Sir John Falstaff, who's my favorite character in fiction, period. But my favorite Shakespeare play would have to be Richard III or Henry IV, Part 1, one of those two.
All right.
But I reserve the right to change that anytime.
Number 11. Is that a Snoop Dogg painting on the top of your shelf?
That's actually a painting of my dog. Looks just like him, too.
Number 12. What is your favorite genre of music?
Well, this changes all the time, too. But Frank Sinatra's my favorite singer. And so that was pop, but it was a very specific type of pop from the early 50s. Now, folk and Americana are probably my favorite genre of music, although you wouldn't be surprised to find out that I really like country and classic rock, too.
Number 13. Assuming you like country music, who do you prefer, Randy Travis or George Strait?
I prefer George Strait, although I do really like Randy Travis. He lives not far from here. I ran into him and his family at a restaurant not too long ago. Well, I say not too long ago. It's probably 2-3 years ago, but I didn't bother them or anything like that. Oh, well, here's an interesting true story, though. Randy Travis used to perform under the name Randy Ray, which is, of course, my name. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up.
Number 14. How long have you had a beard?
Oh, I've pretty much worn a beard all my life. When I was in high school, they only let you wear a mustache. And you had to keep it above the lip here, and you had to keep it above the lip here. So in high school, I looked a little bit more like Magnum P.I. Now I look a little more like Orson Welles, or has been pointed out to me by multiple people, including a recent girlfriend, I look like Santa Claus, only so much sexier.
Number 15. Do you ever shave it off completely?
Oh, no, I have a weak chin. You don't want to see me without a beard. I look 12 years old. I'm every bit of 28, so, you don't want me to see me looking like I'm 12. It's creepy. Creepy, man.
Number 16. Favorite novel about Texas?
Favorite novel about Texas? You asked me what I like about Texas. I'm going to say Dwayne's Depressed or Texasville. If Dwayne's Depressed isn't enough about Texas for you, Texasville's really good.
Number 17. What's your favorite film about Texas?
Oh, well, if it's got to be a film, was that last one supposed to be a book?
The first one was the book, and then this one's a film.
First one's the book, the next one's a film. Well, in that case, I don't want to repeat myself and say Texasville again, but it's Texasville again. Or Leaving Cheyenne, HUD, any number of Larry McMurtry ones. The Last Picture Show, probably. Really great. I love Peter Bogdanovich in so many ways.
Number 18. Were you an avid reader as a kid?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Devoted. I was a stack of books with legs.
Number 19. What kind of books do you enjoy?
I read all kinds of stuff. I've lately picked up a predilection for biographies, especially biographies of presidents. I read multiple biographies in 2024 about Jimmy Carter. I read a historical novel earlier this year about Teddy Roosevelt, and that was really interesting too. And I read a book by Doris Kearns Goodwin's that I expected to be really good. And it was about LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. But it was just way too short and shallow for the subject. I believe it was her first book, though, and she certainly had opportunity to improve and has, because I've read other books from Doris Kearns Goodwin that were excellent history books.
Number 20. What were some of your childhood favorites? I believe that's in reference to books.
Oh, yeah, okay. Childhood favorites? You know, I really loved that Swiftly Tilting Planet series by Madeleine L'Engle. The Chronicles of Narnia were really great. Edward Eager did a series of books about magic, and they were always entertaining. One of those was called Half Magic, which I thought was really good. But I also read above my grade level, too. I'd read The Lord of the Rings 6 times by the time I was in 6th grade. So, and you couldn't believe my excitement when I found a game called Dungeons and Dragons, where, you know, I could play a game that was, in my mind then, basically set in the Lord of the Rings. Whew, that was exciting.
Number 21. What's your favorite place to have visited?
Favorite place to have visited? Washington, D.C. was great. And more specifically, the Folger Shakespeare Library in Washington, D.C. was really tremendous. It was so cool.
Number 22. What's your dream car?
My dream car? Well, I like pickup trucks. And I've got a Dodge Ram right now, which kind of is my dream car, but it would probably be nice to have a new one instead of an old one. The Dodge Ram I drive now is a 2006. I bought it brand new and I bought it. But I'm still limping around in the old girl. The Dirty Dodge, I call her.
Number 23. Who is your favorite author you've discovered since your channel?
That I've discovered since my channel. Oh, that's a tricky one. Okay, probably Tanana Revdu. Yeah, I'm reading The Reformatory as a buddy read with the Criminale right now, and she's fantastic. Yeah, really scary in all the right places. Pacing is incredible. No, I take it back. She's great, but Amor Towles is my favorite author I've read since I started this channel. I read A Gentleman in Moscow was one of the first books I read for this channel. But I've read all his books, and every one of them is wonderful.
Number 24. Do you read any books that have been translated from other languages into English?
Yes, sometimes. Most notably In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust, I'm in the middle of now. Well, not in the middle of, but I've started it.
Number 25. Have you read any South American authors?
That's kind of the halfway point there, isn't it? Yeah, I've read Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He's great. And then Junot Diaz. He's good too.
Number 26. What is your favorite book to recommend to others?
My favorite book to recommend to others is called Everything Matters. It's a novel by Ron Curry Jr. And it's about a young man who knows the exact date of the end of the world. He's got voices in his head that tell him things, and they know what they know, and they're not lying to him. So what do you do in the face of the knowledge that, you know, all life on the planet is going to be wiped out on such and such date by a comet? What do you do with that? Does anything you do matter at that point? That's the question that the book tries to answer, and it's wonderful.
Number 27. What is a genre or subgenre that you tend to avoid?
I don't really avoid a lot of genres or subgenres. I mean, I like it all. Yeah, but I read more fiction than nonfiction, that's for sure. But, I mean, I'm not opposed to reading nonfiction. I don't avoid it.
Number 28. Do you have any favorite nonfiction books about Texas?
Favorite nonfiction books about Texas? No, I don't have any favorite nonfiction books about Texas. Sorry. I will have some, though, because I'm about to announce my Lone Star Book Club. But let's keep that under wraps. We don't want to be stealing that name before I actually launch the book club.
Number 29, do you think there are any good books depicting addiction and recovery?
Yeah, there's a series of books. The first one in the series is called Beautiful Boy. And then I don't remember what they're called after that. I've got them over there on the wall, but I can't read them. But yeah, Beautiful Boy was made into a movie that starred Steve Carell. But when you find it, you'll be able to find the other books in the series, because he wrote a book about his experience with his son's drug addiction, and his son wrote his own memoir about his addiction and recovery. And so you get both sides of the story in two separate memoirs. It's really, really good.
Number 30, what's the best place to eat in Denton?
The best place to eat in Denton, Texas is a little sushi place that is kind of Denton's biggest secret. It's called Kaiichi. It's very hard to get reservations there, but if you can't get reservations there, and he books like a year in advance, you have to book your reservations for 2026 come October, and not October the 5th either, October the 1st. But if you can't get reservations there, there's Osteria Il Muro, which is the other best restaurant in Denton, Texas, and it's an incredible Italian food place. One of the lovely ladies that would have dinner with me on a real regular basis in 2023 said she actually preferred Osteria Il Muro because the menu changed there more often.
Number 31, have you ever listened to the album All Hail West Texas by the Mountain Goats?
No, never heard of it.
All right.
Sorry.
Number 32, what has been the best thing about hosting a BookTube channel?
The community, the friends that I've made along the way. Wonderful people like Mark from Book Time at Elvis. Steve Donahue has been a terrific friend. I love Criminale. Michael K. Vaughn's a really cool guy. They're all people that I've made friends with. Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading. She's really is one of the nicest people I've ever met, period. But maybe even the nicest person on BookTube with a bullet. And that's just to name a few. I could name another half dozen really easily who I care about just as much.
Number 33, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids. I have a 29-year-old stepson and twin daughters, and they're 22 years old.
Number 34, how long did you have your bookstore?
Ooh, the bookstore was open for about 3 years. Yeah, and I never made enough to pay the rent there, even it was a horrible, horrible idea. A friend of mine likes to joke and say that the best name for my bookstore would have been Randy's Folly.
Yeah.
It was fun, though.
Number 35, why did the bookstore close?
I think I answered that already.
Yeah. Number 36, if you could pick 3 books someone should read to spark a love of reading, which would you go with?
Ooh, 3 books to spark a love of reading. Which would I go with? I would probably, and this is something that Steve Donahue taught me, I would probably ask the person some questions about things that they're interested in and try to go with stuff like that. But, I really think anybody'd have a hard time disliking The Lord of the Rings, although it is pretty long, so maybe The Hobbit would be a better choice there. And then the Sherlock Holmes stories, they're pretty hard to beat. They're really accessible, even though they were written in the 1890s through the 1920s. They're still really accessible to a modern reader. I read them when I was 12 years old, and I was a little above average as a reader, but I don't think most people are going to have trouble with the Sherlock Holmes stories either. And then I'm supposed to pick 3 books. What would be a third book? That would be really good for, maybe the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov and get a taste of science fiction. But, someone who's interested in true crime, I would, probably point him towards a murder mystery by Agatha Christie or something. I don't know. But, yeah, it would just depend on, there's plenty of rom-coms out there that are really great too lately. Any of Emily Henry's books are good too. But those are just off the top of my head, not knowing anything about you.
Number 37, how is your cancer treatment going?
I am in maintenance mode now. Yay for me. Look how strong I am. Yeah, I'm in maintenance mode right now, which basically means that I take my medications 3 weeks out of 4. I get a week off every 4 weeks. And then, so I'm in remission. I don't have to get the infusions anymore that I used to have to get, and then, but the side effects are still there, and the side effects are one of the reasons that I was in and out of the hospital all year last year. So we're still working on strategies for defeating the side effects there.
Number 38, what camera, microphone, video, and editing software are you using?
Editing software. I just turn on my phone and start talking. I don't even know what kind of phone I have. I think it's a Galaxy.
Number 39, do you have a suggestion for different books at different times of your life?
Yeah, I do. I think, something like The Great Gatsby is really good if you're in your mid-20s or 30s or really any time. But The Great Gatsby, I think, is one of those that works any time in your life. But like The Catcher in the Rye, works really well if you're like a teenager, you're an angry teenager. It's just the angry young man kind of thing. On the other hand, if you're old or starting to get old or, you're well past 28 like I am, I'm 29, something like King Lear.
Number 40, any books that you like in genres you don't usually care for?
Genres that I don't usually care for. No, you know what, man? I just don't have a grudge against any genre out there that I can think of. I mean, maybe a subgenre might be political movies or political books that are pro-Trump. I don't know that I would necessarily care for those. But, yeah, just as a general rule, no, I don't have a whole lot of genres that I dislike. Was there another part to that question?
It was any books that you like in genres you don't usually care for.
Oh, are there any books that I like? No, there's nothing that I like in genres that I don't really care for because I don't have a problem with any genres.
Yeah. Number 41, who do you think is the best horror writer working today?
I've read a couple of books from Stephen Graham Jones that I liked. But man, I still like Stephen King. I don't think Stephen King's lost it yet.
Number 42, will you be doing more Star Trek videos?
Oh yeah. The summer Trek's right around the corner. Yeah, and I'll be definitely doing more Star Trek videos. Probably more Star Trek videos than ever before. I'm hoping to line up some buddy reads and some team up videos too. I know, I was talking with Brandy at the Booklectic earlier today about Star Trek books, and we even talked about a Star Wars book today. That was exciting.
Number 43, favorite science fiction writer from the golden era, 1940s to 1970s?
Theodore Sturgeon. No, Harlan Ellison.
Good answer.
Although Theodore Sturgeon is really good too.
Number 44, if your younger self could meet you as an adult, what would they be most impressed by?
My girth. I don't know that my younger self would be too impressed with what I've done with my life. If anything, my younger self would be like, how did it come to this?
Number 45, do you have a book from your childhood that started your love of reading?
I think I answered that earlier, but probably The Lord of the Rings or the Sherlock Holmes books.
Mm-hmm. Number 46, do you have a favorite book of all time?
Yes, Everything Matters by Ron Curry Jr. And Ron Curry has a new book coming out next month. I'm so excited because it's been at least 5 years since his last book, I think.
Number 47, what's your favorite Sherlock Holmes book and favorite adaptation?
Man, it's hard to beat The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the first collection of short stories. That's just really, really terrific. As far as my favorite adaptation goes, the Jeremy Brett starred in just these perfectly faithful adaptations of all the stories and the novels. And Jeremy Brett was just terrific in The Part as Holmes. I like Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, but it was more of a revisionist take. And, I don't know that it needed a revisionist take. I think just straightforwardly adapting the original stories was just fine.
Number 48, what's your go-to snack and beverage when you're reading?
Probably a Dr. Pepper or a Coca-Cola, along with either a Heath Bar Crunch or a Skor bar. I really like toffee. But if I can't get one of those, a Payday bar is pretty tasty too.
Number 49, where's your favorite place to read?
We're almost finished now, aren't we? At home, not at the hospital. I get a lot more reading done at the hospital than I do at home as a general rule, but I have a reading chair that I read out of. It's in front of my TV. In fact, I'm in that spot right now. The place where I make my videos these days is also my reading perch.
Number 50, do you have a favorite Vonnegut book?
Yeah, Cat's Cradle, far and away. Yeah, far, far and away. I think Slaughterhouse-Five is overrated, and I like most of his other books okay. But Vonnegut's like Chuck Palahniuk. You've read a Vonnegut. The only one where he seems to be really singing above his range or doing something exceptional as far as I'm concerned, excuse me, I've got the hiccups, is Cat's Cradle.
Number 51, do you have a favorite female author or two that you'd like to share, and what about them?
You know what? I'm just going to share Tanana Ravdu. I'm in the middle of the Reformatory right now. It's absolutely terrific. And, she's my favorite female author right now. That could change because I do like a lot of female authors, but she's just perfect at everything. Her pacing is wonderful. Her characterization, her plotting. This book is gripping. And in fact, she's really good at dragging out the suspense in a scene. And there's a moment in this book where I actually got a little bit anxious, and it took me a long time to get to the meat of the scene. But anyway, I believe that was 51 questions out of 51 questions, and those are my answers to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, or now 1,580 something. But I want to thank all of you for subscribing. I'm beyond flattered that you people, you lovely, wonderful people, want to hear what I have to say about anything. And so thank you for watching this all the way through. I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, please do the important stuff. Stay sexy. Stay hydrated. Thanks.